So I'm Ellen with blackfilm.com, and I'm talking with Meagan Good and Tamara Bass about their new film, If Not Now, When. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
I want to start off by saying this film was wonderfully cathartic, and I wish that it existed when I was coming up. And I really hope that this generation of girls understand how lucky they are to have this sort of meaningful example of sisterhood, because it's a bit of a game changer mentally and emotionally. So thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I mean that touched me. Thank you. I mean, hearing that I'm safe to say is exactly why we made this movie. I mean, to hear that type of response, because that's what we set out to do. And
Yeah.
we're like, as long as one person gets it, we're okay.
And you're both co-directors. Tamara, you wrote the screenplay, and you both star in the film. So congrats on your directorial feature debut first.
Thank you.
How was it juggling multiple roles? You guys had on several hats. Like, how did that all work?
We had all the hats on.
We had all the hats on. It was challenging at times, but honestly, it was kind of more amazing than you would expect, in terms of like when it was hard and there were moments we were trying to like get certain things done. More than that, it was just amazing to see how we worked off of each other, how we were willing to compromise and trust each other, and that compromise didn't feel like much of a compromise at all because of the trust we had in each other. How we saw the same thing in terms of like what we wanted to achieve and notes that we would give down the middle, but then on the flip side we would see completely two different completely things. And then just like with producing and everything about it, it just really was like an epic experience that I think shocked both of us, that it worked as well as it did, and that in some ways, even though that there was a challenge, it was kind of easy with each other, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And I can't think of any films that have been co-directed by two Black women. So you guys are low-key making history here, right?
A little bit, yeah. Like I've seen co-directors before. Like I want to say that on Lift, Demaine, who I think is brilliant, I think she co-directed Lift, the one that starred Kerry Washington, and there might be, but I don't think we've had yet like two women co-directing.
Right.
They're co-starring in it, and one of them wrote it. Oh, and they're producing it. Like
Right.
even as we were putting together our pitch to try to get someone to say yes to us, we kept looking at each other. We're like, I can't find any instance where this has happened. And then I was like, maybe that's why they keep saying no, because they haven't seen it yet. So we actually had a different director attached at one point as well. And right as our funding came through, she got another job. So it was like back to plan A. And even through the process, people kept telling us it wasn't going to work. It's never been done before. It wasn't going to work. Well, you know what? My whole life is tell me anything I can't do, and I'm going to show you 20 different ways in which I can do it. You just motivated me to do it. Even if I don't know how, I'm going to learn just to prove to you that I can do it. So no, it hasn't. It's historical, which I think also puts another layer on us to make sure that if we're going to make history, I want to make history with something that is representative of what we want to put into the world, and not just making history for the sake of saying, oh, we did something. It's like, no, this is a statement of how we see us and what we now want, how we want to be seen. So
yeah, and that's a great segue to the next question for you, Tamara. Who or what was the inspiration for the script?
The inspiration, it's so silly. Like when I read other people's answers to that question, it's always like some deep philosophical. My inspiration was to have a love letter to my friends. It was a way for me to say thank you. It was a way for me to acknowledge, all that we've been through and however long we've been friends. I've had a small core group, and the average length that I've known them is no shorter than 10 years. And in that time, like my oldest friend besides Meagan is when I was 16, and I'm 42 years old now. So 26 years, she has been my best friend, and she's still my best friend. She's still my in case of emergency. She's still like who I call when things are crazy or who I call when things are great. I wanted to say thank you to her and to Meagan and to my friend Melinda, to all of those who have been here and been by my side through the ugly, the bad, the good, this is my way to say thank you. And this is my way to say I love you and I see you and I'm going to honor us the only way I knew how, which is through art.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Amazing. And the film title, If Not Now, When, is such a great call to action. At least that's how I took it.
Mm-hmm.
Meagan, can you talk a bit about what the film title represents?
Yeah, the film title, when I think of If Not Now, When, it feels like we are currently in this moment and we never get this moment back. We never get this day back. We never get this time back, even the time that we're spending together right now. And you want to make sure that everything in life that you're pursuing the thing that you really do desire and you're living up to the full potential of who you were created to be. And you got to do that now because you don't know if you'll get another chance. You don't know if you have tomorrow. You don't even know, if you have tonight. But if you go for it in this present moment, then you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, in your life. And so, if not now, when?
Yeah, that's such a great message. And I love the idea of walking away from this film and being challenged to ask yourself that question and to think about what those answers look like. I love how complex and nuanced all the characters are. I mean, maybe you play Tyra and she is battling addiction. What I thought you articulated really well was the process of denial and recognition. Like that, to be able to go through that with you just kind of made me connect with your plight. What made you want to play the role of Tyra?
It's crazy because initially I wasn't playing Tyra, and I'm not going to tell you the other character. Initially, I wasn't playing her, and as time went on, it was probably like 2-3 years down the road when I finally said to Tam, I was like, Tam.
No, that's not how you said it. You gotta set it up. You gotta
tell your story after mine. I thought it went like this. I was really in my mind, because sometimes in your mind it may not be her story or the story, but in my mind, I thought that she was going to feel a way that I wanted to change characters all the way, like in the 11th hour. So I was like nervous. And then finally, when I was like, Tam, I really want to play this character, she was like, well, I've been waiting for you to wake up and see that that's the character that I wanted you to play too, because that's the character that's going to give you the thing that you want, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, oh. And so she had wanted me to play that character, but didn't want to she let me come to that realization on my own. And for me, initially, I wanted to switch gears, partially because I was like, well, I haven't played this before, but secretly because I was like, well, that means I don't have to go through hair, I don't have to go through makeup, and I have the least amount of scenes. I could really just focus on directing, and that's really what I want to do. And then when I got there and I began to really put the character together and breathe life into her, and I just got so wrapped up in figuring out who she is and wanting this to be as authentic as possible, and talking to my friends who have dealt with addiction and who have come through it, and really just wanting to make sure that I told the true story of someone's experience without zero judgment or zero outside looking in, but really figuring out what's in, and making it real from that place. And it turned out to be the best character for me. And also I didn't have to go through hair and makeup, and I didn't have to be on camera that much. So yeah.
Yeah, job well done on that. Tamara, your character, Patty's storyline was unique in the way that we don't see a lot of Black female characters that deal with not being able to have kids. So that was just like, wow. Can you talk a bit about Patty's inner turmoil and resolve around that topic?
I think, Patrice has always been the type of character that she sees a problem, she fixes it. It starts like in that opening moment between all four of the younger versions of these characters, I was very clear in writing that you see distinctly who they are. You see Deidre is the dreamer. Deidre's like, oh, okay. And Tyra is in denial. All like, even then, Suzanne and Patrice are very symbiotic. They're very much problem solvers. Patrice's way of problem solving is to just jump in and fix whatever the issue is. Well, when you get an issue like infertility, she can't jump in and just fix it. And she saw in her first marriage that led to it to break up. Yeah. She saw that the marriage didn't work out because of this. It was directly tied to this issue. So now her thing is, okay, I'm going to think 10 steps ahead. I'm going to cut it off before it can even get there. But unfortunately, when you live your life 20 steps down the road, you don't allow anybody else to have a say. She decided how this man was going to react without giving him a chance to show that. And I think it's her protectiveness. It's her barrier. It's her way of, I already was hurt. I couldn't solve the problem. So I'm just not going to deal with the problem. I'm going to tuck it to the side and keep it moving. You can't live life that way. Right. And I think, meeting a man like Walter who came in and said, like, stop. And ironically, in one of the earlier drafts of the script, he was the character that said, if not now, when. He actually said those words. But in rewrites and tweaking dialogue, instead, he says to her, all we have is right now. You can't be concerned with down the line. I want this. I want you. I want this moment. And I think it's the first time that she's allowed somebody else to come in and maybe fix the problem with her. And I don't think she's used to that. So, I left them in such a place where it's like, even though I wrote the story, I still would be like, oh, what happened to them? Did they get their happily ever after? Did they adopt some little smushy baby from someplace else? Like, how did this work out? So, yeah.
Yeah, such a relatable character. And the same goes for Makia Cox and Meagan Holder's characters. Mm-hmm. I thought Suzanne admitting to Deidre that she is completely and utterly miserable displayed profound vulnerability and strength. And then for Deidre to receive that and then give it her full attention, that was a powerful scene.
It's my favorite scene.
Right, mine too. So why was it important to show that level of transparency?
For me as a writer and as an audience member, I am the biggest TV film geek in the world. Like, I watch everything. It's a little probably addicting. I probably should go to therapy for it. But I have never seen that. I've never seen those kind of conversations transpire on film and TV. But those are the conversations I have in my real life. Those are the conversations I sit down with and I'm like, okay, guys, let's hang up our mask, let's hang up our cape and just be. And it's such as you said, a cathartic experience when you get to be your full self with someone else. And it was important to me that we see that. We see that amongst these women, and it's no judgment. It's no, like you said, she puts her fork down. She gives her full attention because she needs her to know, I see you and I'm here for you. And I remember when we shot that scene, we came around, like we were shooting it, and I think it was the last scene of the night. And me and Meagan like come around from Video Village, and we come in with Holder and Makia, and Holder just burst out crying. And we're like, what's wrong? And she was like, this is why I signed up for this. This moment is why I said yes. Like, you see in your two faces come around the corner having this scene. She was like, it's everything I needed that I didn't know I needed. Wow. And then watching that scene in dailies, I remember texting both of them like, you guys, I'm bawling because I'm so happy to see two Black women have that level of openness with each other, and it not be used against her. It not be you pulled up later to be like, well, you shouldn't, because it could have went so many different directions, and it wasn't. It was her responses, come back. Yeah. We need you. And, I want to see more of that going forward. So.
Yeah. Any words, Meagan, about that? Or in terms of transparency and how important transparency is.
Oh
Mhm.
gosh, being transparent is a superpower. You know, it's unfortunate that sometimes people try to take advantage of it and use it against you. But outside of that, that's not the thing that leads it. When you have been through something and you can be honest about it, you now have given somebody else license to heal and to admit and to see themselves on the other side of it and to see that they're capable of coming through it. You set an example, you know, and I think as human beings we all have our own individual purposes in life, but I think the one that we definitely all have in common is that we're here to help each other. And
Mhm.
so everything that happens to you, the things that sometimes seem like bad things, oddly are some form of like strange gift because it allows us to be able to help someone else and to pour into their lives and to say, I've been through that. I survived that. I went through that. I thought it would break me. I thought it would take me out, but it didn't. And it won't take you out either. And so I think that um, it's a gift that we all get to give each other. And the more we lean into it, the more we free ourselves as well, and the more we allow
Mhm.
ourselves to heal.
Yeah, and not only were the female characters nuanced and complex, but I thought also the male characters were
Yeah.
too, even down to Niles Fitch's character, Michael, like the way he was so supportive of Jillian, played by Lexi Underwood. That was really important to see from a teenage point of
Yes.
view, right?
Mhm.
And so, what was the motivation behind having these strong, anchored male characters in this?
First and foremost, I am probably the biggest champion of Black love that you will ever meet in your life. Like I am all about I just love it. And I love Black men. I like being able to show them in all of their complexity because again, just like us, they're not this monolithic entity. They are a group that like my dad who you never think he's paying attention much. Like he's not one of those, he's not super communicative. Like sometimes I'm like, are you emotionally there at all? But what I found out later is my dad is very sensitive and he takes in everything, which is where I get it from. So there was one day I mentioned something haphazardly, like, oh, I want a Fitbit. And I'm just keep talking and I'm blah, 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 like go on about my business. He went out with my bonus mom that day, and later on he's like, hey, I got you this. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, were you paying attention? He hears things and he sees things, and I'm like, I want that type of man shown on screen. So I want to see that. And if nobody else is going to write it, I'm going to write it. And I told Meagan when we were casting, I was like, it's important to me that Walter is Black and Jackson is Black. Like we can have full reign with the Max character, but those two, it's important to me because I know it's in one incarnation. I think someone had suggested that maybe Jackson be white, and I'm like, no, like I want to show a Black man, especially in that last scene between him and Megan Holder when he's like, I'm scared. I never had a dream. And I remember being in an audience and one of the men were like, yeah, because they don't get to see themselves reflected like that. There's this idea that you're just a strong Black man, you can't do. No, I want to show the layers to them. Even the scene in which he makes her dinner, which she doesn't come home for, but it's still like this thing. He heard her earlier
Yeah.
and now he's here. So it's for me, it was important to honor the men that I've been luckily raised by or am sisters with, to show them like, hey guys, I see y'all. Like I know they want to label you as this over here, but I'ma honor you in
Yeah.
my work. So
And so, Meagan, what's the one thing you enjoyed about this entire experience, from making it to starring in it?
Um, I enjoyed serving the actors.
Mm.
Um, I just enjoy like speaking the same language and finding, you know, all those nuances. There's what's on the page, and then there's what you discover when you live and breathe the character, and being able to discover those things with them and to be a support system and to see them bring certain things to life and then figure out what can we think of that we might have missed that will take us to the next level. I just really, really, really enjoy that. There's so many aspects that I enjoy in terms of what we're putting into the world and the whole creative process and about this opportunity we've been given to break a glass ceiling and all of that. But if I'm being completely honest, the thing that I love the most about it was just serving, being a servant to the actors.
Nice. What about you, Tamara?
Being able to have a hand in showing 4 Black women who are different, who are complex, and fully realized at the same time was exciting for me. It was, it was important, but it was like, wow, we did that. Like, usually there might be one of us, there might be 2 of us, and if the other 2, it's like a small little, you're not developed. I had a direct hand in making sure that at least 4 Black women got to shine at the same time. And then behind the scenes, smaller was being able to like look down the payroll report and see so many names of people we know personally, because we were able to give people jobs. And I'm like, that's what it's about. Because it's great if you get to sit at the table, but it's really lonely if you're at the table by yourself. So if I'm eating, I want everybody in my circle to eat. So and then don't let me in the door, because I'm taking that bitch off the hinges. It's never to be put back on again. I got a welcome sign. So being able to have a hand in that and to know that we did that, we set out to do it, and it got done. Like,
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And just, to begin to wrap up, I love that the film starts and ends with life being brought into the world.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, I got the ending. I'm gonna end with, like, I literally said that, like, we're starting with life and we're gonna end with life. Like,
it was poetic. It's so poetic, and it just it's a great bookend.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. I'm looking forward to the release and being able to have a dialogue with my friends. If not now, when premieres on demand and on digital, January 8th, 2021. Yes. What do you want the audience to know about this
film? It was a labor of love, and what you see on that screen was authentically representative of what we did making it. There were no egos. There was no, everyone showed up, and people showed up, to be honest, for no money. We were like, we can't pay y'all. But I want them to see that love and to see that we have begun to shift the narrative, and we need help. We need help to keep shifting that narrative. So,
yeah, I look forward to seeing what else you two create. I mean,
thank you.
The sky's the limit at this point. So thank you so much again.